Oh, this unit is not a finance unit, not like where you study corporate finance, foundations in finance. You learn the capital asset pricing model, am I right? You learn valuation, you learn the dividend model, you learn the bond pricing model, you learn models, all about valuation, understanding finance markets, financial markets. Okay. This unit is about entrepreneurial models. I mentioned that last week. It's about entrepreneurial thinking. It's about you finding ways to disrupt some business. And the business we're focusing on is finance. Okay? And you know from last week we covered the big circle. And you know from last week, 3 of these areas we were disrupting by taking out the middle person. So which were those 3 areas? What were those 3 areas? Kim? Capital raising. Investment. And?
Market provisioning.
Market provisioning, yes. So those 3 things. The middle person is always a factor in all 6, but generally the main business model, the focus of the business model in these 3 areas, market provisioning, investment management, capital raising, is to take out the middle person. Okay? Disintermediation. Wow. All right. And then what else did we learn last week with regard to payments, insurance, and deposits and loans? What was the big way of disrupting deposits and loans? What was the big idea? Help me here. The big idea for deposits and loans.
Getting rid of FICO.
Getting rid of
FICO, the
FICO. Or,
the use of data.
yes, and going broader than FICO, right? Not relying on FICO. Relying on other data points, other sources, such as what? Social media, yes? Yes?
Big 5 personality.
Big 5 personality, yes. So if you are more neurotic, does that mean you're better able to pay back the loan? Or less able? Less able, yeah. All right, so big 5 personality, what was the big item in that area that made you more likely that you pay back the loan? Agreeableness, yes. If you're more agreeable, more likely you'll pay back. Wow. Okay, so the big idea with deposits and lending was just broadening the sources of data about you, right? Okay. FICO, you can still use FICO, but plus the extra data made it different. What was the big idea for insurance?
Price the risk. The way to price the risk.
How to price the risk. How to price the risk. So it's all about, again, it's all about the risk and pricing. Am I right? Okay. What about payments? How are we disrupting payments? Again, we're finding new ways of getting capturing data so we can better, all right? So we're trying to capture data. We're using social media, all sources to capture data. We're using telematics, we're using other engines to capture data. Okay? They're both risk-based. The risk that you will not repay, right? So we want data to work out the that lending risk, right? You with me? But here is the risk of you, the risk of your behavior. Okay? That will result in an insurance event happening, car accident, right? House fire, just something bad happening. Can your behavior be linked to that? And yes, if it can, is there a way of getting source evidence of how you might behave in the future? Or is there a way of tracking your behavior in real time? Wow. Okay, so both of them have a risk in their basis. What about payment? You all look too serious. Is that because you're doing a major in finance? I used to teach finance. Serious. I taught corporate finance a long time ago. Right? In 1992, 93, 94, I taught corporate finance. Used Brilliant Myers, Bishop Crack and Tweet textbooks. Do you know those textbooks? They're using textbooks and teaching finance here? Yeah. I hope they're teaching you well. Exciting, capitalise that pricing model. We know all that, but this unit is not really about finance, okay, or valuation. It's about business models. So, what about payment? Payments. Most of you will not get a job in finance, the traditional finance. You will get the likelihood of you getting an employment opportunity working for a startup in finance is more likely. I'm just giving you a heads up, okay? Because are you in your third year? Third year, yes or no? All right, third year, you need to start thinking about your job opportunity, am I right? Startups, working for a startup. I know one of my top students in MIB last year. I referred her, and she got a good job in Karsam. Do you know Karsam? One of the big startups in Malaysia. Now she's working for Karsam. All right. The startups is where the growth is. Okay. So I know you did major in finance. But the idea that you're going to get a job in Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, stuff like that, yeah, you may get a job in there, but where is that going to lead you, okay? Because that's been taken away slowly and surely by startups, right? Keep that in mind. Just heads up, finance majors, all right? I love you all, okay? Don't shoot the messenger. I just want to let you know. Just be open, okay? Be open about your employment opportunities. Okay? All right. Payments. Come on. What was the big idea of payments? What was the big idea of payment? Yes, there was a middleman with disintermediation. How do we do that? We use Bitcoin. Blockchain, right? Okay, so Bitcoin, peer-to-peer transfer of value, right? Am I right? Yeah? Okay. But that's just a small part of payments. Oh, the media tells you it's a big part. And then they say, oh, you know, the cryptocurrencies, blockchain is $2 trillion value now, so therefore it's a big part. Yes and no. Okay? The bigger part is in other areas of payments. Okay? Not the actual medium of exchange. So what are those other areas where we are disrupting payments? what models are making money? Remember, this is about entrepreneurial business models disrupting finance. Google, there were three other areas where we're disrupting in payments. How are we making money in payments? What were those areas? Pass if you like. Don't feel any pressure.
Consumer transaction.
Pardon?
Consumer transaction. We mentioned consumer transaction as the last class.
Yes. Yeah. Of course it's transaction, but what about how are we making money? We're making money by having lower merchant fees, right? Am I right? So Grab is signing up for various merchants. So are other payment startups in Malaysia, and they go to a merchant and then they say, connect with us electronically so your customers can buy through the payment app, and we'll only charge you 0.6% or 60 basis points instead of Visa and MasterCard charging 300 basis points. You with me? All right, so they're undercutting. So how does Grab make money from that? Does Grab make money by doing that? Yes or no? Hello?
Yes.
We're getting to know each other, aren't we? Huh? Okay. Not really. I don't think Grab's making money from GrabPay. Okay. Remember, Grab is trying to be everywhere, right? Right? And being part of payments, then that enables them to get legitimacy in Malaysia and other areas of Asia, right? Just like what WeChat Pay is trying to do, what Alipay is trying to do, right? I don't think they're making money on that. But they'll make money by they get your data. They get access to your data. Then they can sell you other things, recommend you other things. They can make money in many other ways. Yes, merchant, they offer cheap merchant fees. Why? They get the merchants to sign up and then offer, right? So then they're providing incentives to merchants. Right? MasterCard and Visa, you know what a DAO is? Have you heard of that? DAO? Decentralized Autonomous Organization. You never heard of that? Oh, you will going forward. It's very big in Fintech now. You know what NFT is, right? Okay? Well, DAO is Decentralized Autonomous Organization. The biggest DAOs in the world is MasterCard and Visa. What do you mean, Neil? Well, MasterCard and Visa don't hold your money, but they came up with a credit card idea back in the late 60s, and they went to a network of banks and they said, here's an idea and here's the standards, and we want you all to follow these same standards. And then they go out to all merchants and tell the merchants, you sign up with this, we'll only charge you 3%. American Express was charging 5%. Then they've got merchants, and they've been making 3% on transactions for the last 3.5 decades, 4 decades. Wow. All right, so ripe for disruption. It's easy for anyone to go in the payment space and take, because Visa and MasterCard were charging merchants 300 basis points. Okay? What merchant in their right mind would say no to a fintech app that says, we're just going to take 60 basis points? Wow, right? Merchant fees is the big thing. The other thing is, and I just mentioned that, was data, right? And what was the other big area in payments? What was the other big area? Okay, and I like that. I can actually, I can see that when your card is like that. It's like it's two-dimensional. We're going to make it three-dimensional. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry to interrupt your space. There you go. Three-dimensional now. Okay, I can read that now. Okay, so taking out middleman data, merger fees. What's the missing one here? Help me. What is it? Come on. Shana, what is it? Rana?
Disintermediation.
That's already there, taking out the middleman, disintermediation, that's block. Bitcoin is doing that, right? Yes, yes, Evan.
Money stays within the payment system.
Yes, and therefore, yeah, money stays in and then they can make money, right? In some ways, that's what PayPal is doing. Okay? How many of you have a PayPal account? Okay? And you have the option of PayPal paying you when you've made if you receive money or refund, it doesn't automatically get credited to you unless you ask for it. PayPal hangs on to it. Okay? All right. Actually, that's 5. What's another one? What's another area?
Technology.
What's the big thing cross country? Yes, and then what? How do middle people make money on that? Pardon? Remittance fees, right? In some ways, merchant fees, remittance fees, but remittance is very, very big. Remittances, okay? To Mexico, to China, to Philippines, to India, to Indonesia. Remittances are huge. Make a lot of money transferring from one currency to another. Wow. Okay, so that was just a quick review of last week. But where are we going with this? Remember, this is not finance. This is getting you to think about business models. How do we disrupt? How do we change the way the world transacts? Wow. Okay. Now, many of you in finance, you might end up working for a startup, or you develop your own startup where you create your own robo-advisor in investment management. Okay? So it doesn't hurt. Or some of you in finance, you may work for a startup that is focused on compliance, regulatory compliance. Why would you do that? Because after 2 or 3 years working for that startup, then you will be headhunted by a bank that needs someone that has that knowledge of their digital compliance, because the bank has decided, we need more digital offerings, but we don't have the knowledge. Then they will headhunt people from startups. So you've got to think strategically, finance majors, about your future opportunities, your future job opportunities that are coming from this fintech space. Okay, that was last week. Did I send you an email? Did you get an email from me inviting you to Google Hangout? Nothing. Okay, I need to double check, send it again. Maybe I sent it to I did send it to tubes number 3, tubes number 4. Am I right that these are those correct numbers? Am I right? This is tube number 4, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I need to send it again. What was in that email? Number 1, it was an invitation to join a Google Hangout, which is under the umbrella of the Google workspace that Monash allows us to use. Okay, so it's not outside of the Monash system. And in that Hangout, we can, which is a chat room, we can use your discussion as part of the consultation. Okay, outside of what we normally do in my promise to you to be available for your consultation, which I am available, and you can make an appointment and we can talk about things anytime as per the consultation hours. But the hangout's a very good facility in case you're stuck at home or you can't come into campus every day, then you can go into the chat room and ask a simple question. And it's not in Moodle where 300 students are going to hear you, and you may not want to bother the 300 because it may be something more specific to the class. Okay, so that's why I'm creating the hangout. All right, so I hope that's of value to you. So last week, that was the big idea. We talked about the big idea of this. And I'm going to see you in Zoom on Friday, am I right? What time?
4. What to do?
2, Friday at 2 or 2:30? Hello? Do you know?
3 to 4:30.
Is it?
3 to 4:30.
Is it 3 to 4:30? Is it?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good. Okay. Now we're going to look at some tutorial questions. We're going to play a Kahoot game, and because I failed to get you to join the Hangout, I can't send you the link to the feedback, but I will send a link to your email so you can provide feedback. Friday workshop, okay, please do join the Zoom workshop, because if you're interested in business analytics, I'm going to show you how we go from collecting data to creating real stories on that data. Okay, let's move. And I'm excited because we're about to Mazut, in his initial lecture, not my lectures, he talked about the Malaysian startup scene. And many of you probably know more about Malaysian startup than me. I'm somehow more familiar with Hong Kong and China. But that's all right, because part of this tutorial is you voicing more, okay? Being comfortable, you're face to face, so now you can talk more too. That's good. So what we've got here, to familiarise yourself with the Malaysian landscape. So you've gone and had a look at the Fintech companies in Malaysia. So which area of this wheel of disruption are most of the startups in Malaysia focusing on? Interesting. Payments and deposits and lending. So here and here. Okay. All right. What's an example of deposits and lending?
Micro-lead, pancake. Yeah, both of it. Or payment where.
When we talk about, just help me here.
Yeah.
Help me here, because you've got to teach me about Malaysia. So help me. All right. Okay. So there are some startups in Malaysia that fundable or fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, if I go into there and I put money into fantastic, then I can choose, I want to put, say, 10,000 ringgit, and I want to put 20% onto this particular debtor that is at a certain risk, and then 10,000 loan to this business at a certain risk. Am I right?
Yeah.
Is that how it works? So the question is that capital raising or deposits and lending? No, that's my question.
It's capital raising, right?
It is a bit, isn't it? It is capital raising, right? So obviously that scene is quite alive and well in Malaysia. Am I right? Okay. Chenji, what do you think? Am I talking off point? Am I using the wrong example? About, did you mention deposits and lending, right?
I think it's, he mentioned.
Google, did you mention it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, what do you think? Just correct me if I'm wrong here.
No, I think it's capital raising at all. Because earlier I thought when businesses they need money, so there's a platform, right?
Yep.
The Fintech, so basically they upload how much do they need.
Yes.
And the Fintech companies will post it in their platform, and whoever wants to invest in it, they can invest. So I thought it's like that was the lending, but it can be capital raising as well.
Yes. So capital raising, let's just remind ourselves, is the famous ones are Indiegogo, Kickstarter. Am I right? So basically crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, right? How many of you know Indiegogo and Kickstarter? Okay. Heard of it? Okay. So in Malaysia, I would think payments and possibly you could say capital raising are quite new and interesting and developing. You can go back and have a look at the population, but payments definitely dominant. So the big question I have for you in this first question is, if we're looking at payments, so let's just go down. Okay. Why do you think payments is attracting most of the startups? And that's a big theme in week 1 and week 2. And it's really, really critical you come to the workshop on Friday to bring this first part to a close. Because there's 2 ways of learning about something. Okay? One is the textbook. Well, here's the CAPM model. Here's the bond pricing model. Here's the, you're with me here, here's all the models, right? So here's the model of the world, how it should be, right? Okay? Or the other way is, well, what do we see in the world? What behavior are we witnessing in the world? Which is really focusing more on just empirical, just actually watching the world. Okay? Friday is all about that. It's this question here. Okay? This question is not about, what should the startups in Malaysia what should they be focusing on? And you could do all your analysis, mathematical and cost benefit, and do your big project. I think they should do it off payments because of 1, 2, and 3. All right, so that's the predictive approach. But I'm not asking that. We are asking the other way. When you look at all the startups, what do you see? What behavior do you see? Where are they? Where are the startups? And a lot of them are in payments. So the question is, why have they congregated around payments and not around these other areas as much? Why? Here's the question. Okay, so we'll go around the class now. Yes, here.
Payments directly affects consumer convenience.
Payments directly affects
Consumer convenience.
consumer convenience. You could say convenience. Yes.
Like why are they into the payments?
How is it convenient?
Well, if you talk about the blockchain, it removes the use of paper and middleman. So you make convenience easier for consumers, increases the purchasing power.
Yes, sir. Very good. Yes, I mentioned blockchain. Okay, that is this part here, like how we cut out the intermediary, and the only area that that has been successful in the world is with Bitcoin, but that's not, that doesn't explain the big areas where startups in Malaysia, why they're going into payments. Because most of the startups are not doing this, right? They're doing these other things. So so my question is, why are they congregating on payments, such as maybe remittances, the data, or the fees? Why are they doing all this sort of stuff, rather than trying to better price risk, or better price loan risk, or manage investments, or market provisioning? Right? That's the broader question, right? What do you think, Lisa? I'm picking on you. You're halfway there. I like the idea you mentioned the Bitcoin. Okay? Definitely important. My question is, I don't know everything about the Malaysian startup space. Okay? So are there Malaysian startups? Are there startups in Malaysia that are really focused on Bitcoin or cryptocurrency? I mean legitimate ones. We're not talking about the ones that are trying to scam you. And there were some scams around in the past, right? Some big scams, eh? Yes. There's this lady that had a big ICO scam and took a lot of money. She was like a celebrity at one stage, right? All right, yeah. But you know more about Malaysia than me. Yes, Ian? Do you want to add to, why is payment attractive? Why are these models attractive to startups in Malaysia? What do you think? You can pass it on. Oh, you looked at Kim? Yeah, what do you think? Hmm?
I have
No idea? No problem? Valerie, what do you think?
Business demand. There's demand.
I'm having trouble hearing the
Business demand.
demand. But why is there huge demand? Payment. Why is there huge demand? You mean the consumer demand? And then if you say there's huge demand, why is that demand huge? Because there are, what do we call the economics of that? Gallery, you're on the right track, take it further. There's huge demand because there is low what? Help Valerie here, there's low what?
Market is open, there's no supply.
Yes. Or there's low barriers to entry. Low barriers to entry, right? Okay. Very good. Okay. Okay, 1 and 2. And what else? Why else is payments attractive as a model compared to the other areas? The word is up there somewhere, but why is it? Why is it attractive to Malaysian startups? Yes.
I believe it's because it's the one sector that's used by everyone.
And it's used by everyone because of the low barriers to entry. You just need a smartphone, so the low startup costs, right? Okay, so that's good. And what's another aspect of payments that is different from many of the other areas? I want you to think in terms of lawyers. I want you to think in terms of lawyers. If you're running a startup and you've got a new business model, some of these areas you need a team of lawyers to support you to really make sure that you don't get yourself into trouble.
There's less risk involved.
Yeah, less risk. Yes. With payments, there's less risk. That's it. With a lot of the other areas, you need a team of lawyers to make sure that your product or your service is correct, is in compliance, is not violating anything, right? Or if there's a dispute, you need lawyers to figure out all the terms and conditions. Like insurance, you can imagine that you need it for that, right? All right? Capital raising, you'd imagine you need it for that. Deposits and lending, you need that. These are all larger transactions too. But for payments, how many of you have used, how many of you use Shopee or Lazada? What? Shiren, you don't? Shopee, Lazada? Do you use it? Yes, okay. How many of you have used Shopee or Lazada in the last week? Yeah, me too, okay. All right, so easy, right? And, okay, what if your package doesn't get delivered? What happens? What happens? Is to report to them. Do you ring up your lawyer and then start a lawsuit with Shopee Lazada? Why don't you? Why don't you do that? They did something wrong. They wronged you. They took your money and didn't deliver. So why don't you sue them? Because your transaction is what? Small. All right? Okay? So because the transactions are small, you don't really have that risk. With the other areas, generally the transactions are larger. So there's greater risk, terms and conditions. There's so much more things that you've got to check the boxes on. With payments, it could be like what I've purchased in Lazada. Oh, this thing here, this is a output, this is a external sound card I bought on Lazada last week. It costs, I think, 6 ringgit. Okay. Okay. All right. So if it doesn't work, what?
Unlucky.
You know, a lot of payment transactions are like that, right? So you can imagine. These are the reasons why payments are so popular as a startup to enter. And a lot of the startups in Malaysia are in that area. Okay, let's just have a look at. Okay, what are the 3 leading and largest fintech companies in Malaysia? What are the 3 leading startups? Or the 3 leading areas? Okay, I want everyone to write something down. We're talking about, what do you think are the 3 most leading, largest fintech companies in Malaysia? What are they? You've written them down, okay, so now, and Xijin, very smart, you've got the landscape, you can open that up again. Oh, very nice, got all the startups there, right? Very good, okay, so what are the big ones in Malaysia? Okay, e-commerce, let's just be clear, when we talk about fintech, we're not necessarily we're not really talking about e-commerce like Lazada or Shopee. We don't see that as being fintech, okay? But other apps that enable you to work with Lazada or Shopee can be fintech. Okay, all right. You know, e-commerce has been around for a long, long time. All right, so that's the merchant platform. The merchant was always physical in the store, but now you can actually go online. How many of you in your Shopee or Lazada, how many of you have more than 10 products in your wish list? Yeah, okay, so I know what you are talking about. Yes, and I think I have over 100 products in there, lots of computers and things like that. Okay. So what are the big three firms in Malaysia? What are the big three payment firms? Remember, first of all, what is the big area of Malaysia? Payments. What are the big firms in payments? What are they? Nicholas? Touch and Go. What's another one? Come on, you all know them. GrabPay, and what else? Boost. Yeah, Boost is the other one. Yeah, I haven't used Boost yet. Is Boost good? Touch and Go. Oh. Is there an electronic app version of Touch and Go? Because I've just got the card.
Yeah. There's the wallet is very convenient.
Oh, is it? Okay.
E-wallet.
Oh, okay. All right. I just use the card. I only got the card so I can do training, but I know you can use it for many things. All right. Okay. All right. So those are the big three. So the question is, why are they the big three? What did the Malaysian government do in 2020?
Subsidize.
They gave, didn't they give, what was the tunai rakyat? The rakyat? They were given money to
What would they give
population.
100 ringgit to every month?
How many?
I think they give 100 or something to every month.
100.
I think so. I'm not sure the exact amount. Yeah, the Malaysian National Government.
Sorry, how much?
100.
100. Okay, all right. This is about confidence boosting. Okay, I understand. In Hong Kong in 2020, they gave, because I've been in Hong Kong till January the 1st this year, so I was in Hong Kong, they gave everyone 5,000 Hong Kong dollars. That was last year, 2021. They've just announced, so I was there, and you either had to use Octopus, which is the equivalent of your Touch and Go card, or you had to use Alipay or WeChat Pay, because they want to encourage you to use the Fintech payments. The Hong Kong government has just announced $10,000 for every resident. I'm PR of Hong Kong, so therefore I get it too. I'm here. But you have to be in Hong Kong to get the money, so what do? So I get my Octopus card and I'll FedEx it to my brother-in-law in Hong Kong, and then we'll get that money and then spend it on something. But you have to spend it. It's a consumption voucher. It is not money. It's not money to put into your bank account. You have to spend it. Okay. All right. Payment. Obviously, just let's finish that part. Payments is big. Payments is easy. Low barriers to entry, low risk, many small transactions. So therefore, it's an easy thing to get involved in. Whereas the other areas takes a little bit more thought. Okay? So the one thing you need to take away from today's class, that not all 6 areas are the same. Some are easier than others. Some require more legality than others. Some are fraught with more risk than others. Okay? That's what you need to take away. When you go out of this room, it's not that you learn, oh, there's a new company I learned from O'Connor. No. I want you to think in terms of the risk, the legality, the challenges of trying to disrupt in a particular space. Okay? Because your major project for this unit is basically an entrepreneurial business model in one of these spaces. Right? We've got to think like entrepreneurs. Neil, you should have told us this was a course on entrepreneurship. But what else would it be? Yeah, but Neil, this is finance. Yeah, but finance is boring. But Neil, entrepreneurship, what is that? The most exciting thing in the world. Entrepreneurship is exciting, right? Because it's about recreating business models. And when you start thinking about business models, you actually learn everything about business. Finance majors, don't worry, okay? Don't worry, you're not out of a job yet. Your job has not been disrupted yet. So, activity 3, let's keep moving, and then we've got our Kahoot, which is very, very important. Based on your knowledge of financial services, which of the 6 clusters do you think has the biggest potential to be disrupted? That's different from the previous question about in Malaysia, which is the easiest. Obviously, a lot of startups have entered the payment space because in some ways, low barriers to entry, small transactions, lower risk, less legality. This question is different. This question is, which has the biggest potential for disruption? Which area? Okay, we want a show of hands for everyone, and we'll go around the wheel. Hands up for market provisioning. 2 hands. Hands up for investment management. 4 hands. Hands up for capital raising. Okay. Evan, you're doing twice, are you? Is this your first hand?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Keep an eye on you, don't worry. All right, deposits and lending. Anyone? All right, insurance. Okay, so why insurance? What do you think?
Malaysia, many people need to have their insurance on cars or on their health concern, and things. But now the insurance company has a very old version in pricing their policy and their premium.
Okay, the key point that Xi Shen just made was that the current traditional insurance companies have old risk models, right, which causes everyone to be put into a particular basket, right? Even though you may be less risky than other people in your basket, because you are between 10 and 20. You are aged between 20 and 30, so therefore you're in that category. All right? But that doesn't say anything about your risk in other dimensions. And so, yes, insurance has a huge area to be disrupted. Okay? Big area of disruption because of the data and risk repricing. Did you know that I worked in an insurance company for 2 years? Didn't I not tell you that? Yeah. After I dropped out of school, after I got fired from my first job, petrol depot, I got a job working for an insurance company. This is before going to university. And I worked in insurance for 2 years. And during those 2 years, I sold no policies. Okay? It's very hard for an 18-year-old to sell insurance. Okay? But I learned a lot. I learned a lot about sales tactics and putting the foot in the door. Okay? So I didn't fail to learn, but that's where my bosses there told me, Neil, you better go get a degree. I'm thinking, well, I didn't finish matriculation. How can I get a degree? Okay. All right, so how come I'm a professor and teaching you? That's another story for another day. But I did try and sell insurance for 2 years, and I know that it's very complicated, especially life insurance or the actuarial tables and things like that. There's a lot of area and scope for disruption. Okay, I hope we can make this fun and exciting as we go through more. Last one. Activity 4, and then we're going to do Kahoot, and then we're out of here. Number 4 is, this is not a finance question, it's not an entrepreneurship question. This is a business operations question. This is an operations management question. What does it mean? Operations management is all about the processes. In other words, a sequence of things that you do in order to create something, whether it's a service, a product, or good, or something like that. Okay? All right. So, what is the correct telematics information workflow? Telematics, we are over here, insurance. Okay? Telematics is definitely the area of IoT. IoT, Internet of Things. So, what is the correct workflow? I want you to think. 30 seconds. While you're thinking about that, I'll tell you a short story, because I give advice to IoT startups around the world, because they always want me to connect them with suppliers in China, like factories that make the hardware side of an IoT device. So I had this guy from Brazil, I think it's early last year, linked up with it. We had a Zoom call. How can we help you? He said, we want to make this watch. We want to make a watch, and that watch is going to have some sensor in it. So when I get close to Debbie, and Debbie is wearing that watch, and Debbie has a close contact with COVID or whatever, the watch will go beep, 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 and then I know not to be too close. And they thought that, we need to make the watch, we've got the app, we put it together, then we sell it to the US market. Serious. But one problem, what was the biggest problem with that model? That's a business model. What's the problem? Is the problem the software, the app, or the hardware? Real story. What's the problem? Lowry, what's the problem? Quick, we've got to do Kahoot. Time's run now.
Yours would be 2 points.
What's the biggest problem with the hardware startup? I told you, they contact me for advice because they want to connect me with suppliers. They want me to connect them with suppliers in China that can make the hardware. So what we told them was, you should know the problem. What's the problem?
Did you explain how it works again, sorry?
Okay, they've got an app, and they want to connect it to the watch. They want to build the watch with the app that's connected to your smartphone. And so when I get close to Debbie, and either Debbie or I had contact with COVID, and then it go beep, 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 beep. I don't have to scan anything or anything, it just senses. My watch senses Debbie's watch,
I see.
and then feedbacks to me. So that we don't need to do any of this scanning.
But the problem is, why would she buy that unless she has COVID?
Yes, exactly! Exactly right! Did you hear the answer? Yeah. Exactly right. That means everyone has to buy the watch for it to work. So I go close to Debbie, and may have had contact, and no bipping, we're safe. No, we're not safe. We don't know. Right? So these are the ideas that entrepreneurs come to me with. And so we said to them, forget about the hardware. All right? All right, half of the electronic watches around the world are either an iWatch or a Samsung Galaxy Watch. You're better off making an app to go into the iWatch or the Samsung one. Don't try and reinvent the hardware, because no one is going to buy your watch. They will buy your app, but not the watch. Interesting ideas that entrepreneurs come up with, right? All right? But this is what I want all of you to think about. I want you to think about these things. Because every day, 20 times, you're doing this, right? Am I right? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right? What if you could find a product that you don't have to do that? That could be your project for this unit. Are you hearing me? Right? All right? This unit, entrepreneurship, is about solving real problems. Okay? So your project needs to come up with an idea that makes it easier, more convenient, and it solves a problem in any of these areas. Okay? Okay. You'll stop talking too much. All right. What's the what comes first here? Data generation comes second. Collection third. Analysis, and then evaluation. Driver evaluation, that's the objective function. The driver is the insured. The driver is the objective function, right? You evaluate them the risk. So that's the end. Work backwards from that. You need to analyze, and then you need to collect data, but then you need to generate. The sensor technology in your smartphone can do the data generation and transmission. You with me? Okay, so Neil, you tell me that for this unit you have to learn electronics, hardware, sensors, and all of that. Maybe for some of your startup ideas, maybe you have to think of that. Maybe you have to think in the area of IoT, Internet of Things. That's what I'm talking about. You've got hardware and software. Okay? Or maybe your project is just software based. Start thinking about this. Don't wait until week 7. Okay? You need to start thinking about which groups you're going to be in and which groups you're going to join. When you come in next week, think about who you're going to join with. Okay? Let's play Kahoot. We're going to play Kahoot. Let's go. Any questions? Any questions? We're going to play Kahoot now. There's 18 questions, so we're going to go very, very fast. It's like a horse race. What's the benefit of playing Kahoot? Everyone in this Fintech unit is playing the same Kahoot. It's possible for me next week to tell you where you ended up in 300 students, among 300, not just this class. Isn't that exciting? Not that we're going to grade you differently. This is not attached to your grade. But we need to make it fun and exciting and bring some gamification into your learning. What do you think? Good idea? Okay. All right. So let's play this thing. Are you ready, ski daddies? Loading the game pin. I need to get a speaker in here. Get some music going. Last year in Global Supply Chain Management, we played Kahoot, and one session we played the Squid Game music while we were playing Kahoot. It was fun. for that class, they actually got more marks if they did well in the Kahoot. So it was a real squid game if you didn't survive. Okay, please, can you put in something nice for your name, please? Something recognizable, please, not just why. Who's this 11? Can you please not, can we be a little bit more friendly and civilized here? Okay? This one here, that's not, can I ask you to go out and join again, please? Who's this? Who's this one? Yeah, Debbie? Just put in Deb if you can. Appreciate that. All right, you don't need to put in your full name, but just a short of your name. A bit more fun, so we know each other a bit better. Let's get to know each other a bit more, have a bit more fun this semester, okay? I'm your learning partner here. All right, so time is running out and we want to move this very, very fast. Are you ready, Skinny Daddies?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go and quickly. Fintech Revolution, week 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. It's going to be very, very fast here. Quiz. What credit scoring systems are used in USA?